Hi, I'm Barry Taylor from Equip for Equality. People with disabilities, including older Americans who have a physical, sensory, cognitive, or mental impairment, are covered by the Americans with Disabilities Act, also known as the ADA. The ADA protects people with disabilities from discrimination in a variety of areas, including employment. Sometimes job applicants and employees are asked questions about their disabilities by employers, or are asked to undergo medical examinations. For many people, their disabilities are not apparent, and they want to keep this information private. This video will explain the legal rights of people with disabilities and the responsibilities of employers when it comes to disability-related inquiries and medical examinations. Now, when someone's applying for a job, the ADA prohibits employers from asking disability-related questions before a conditional offer of employment. This includes questions that directly ask about disability, as well as questions that could result in a person revealing a disability. Permissible inquiries are limited to those that relate to an applicant's ability to perform the essential functions of the job. Examples of pre-employment questions that are prohibited include: do you have a disability? Have you ever filed for workers' compensation? What prescription drugs are you taking? Have you ever been treated for mental health problems? And how many sick days did you take in the last year? Examples of pre-employment questions that are allowed include: can you perform the functions of this job with or without a reasonable accommodation? Or please describe or demonstrate how you would perform those functions. Can you meet the attendance requirements of the job? Do you have the required license to perform the job? Now, before making a conditional job offer, an employer may not make any medical inquiry or conduct any medical examinations. However, a test for the illegal use of drugs is not considered a medical examination under the ADA. Therefore, employers may require a drug test and make employment decisions based on the results. After making a conditional offer of employment, before a person starts work, an employer may make unrestricted medical inquiries, but may not refuse to hire a person with a disability based on the results of such inquiries, unless the reason for rejection is job-related. Also, all applicants at that employment level must go through the same examination, regardless of whether they have a disability. For example, an employer could not just ask a person with cerebral palsy to undergo a medical examination unless every applicant at that particular employment level is required to submit an examination. After employment, any medical examination or inquiry required of current employees must be job-related and justified by business necessity. Exceptions are voluntary examinations conducted as part of an employee health program and examinations required by other federal laws. One common question that arises is, may an employer request that an employee provide a doctor's note or other explanation when the employee has used sick leave? The answer is yes. An employer is entitled to know why an employee is requesting sick leave. An employer therefore may ask an employee to provide a doctor's note or other explanation as long as it has a policy or practice of requiring all employees to do so. Another question that comes up is, can an employer ask disability-related questions or require a medical examination when an employee who's been on leave for medical conditions wants to return to work? The answer is yes. If an employer has a reasonable belief that an employee's present ability to perform the essential functions will be impaired by a medical condition, or that he or she will pose a direct threat because of that medical condition. If an employer obtains disability-related information from an inquiry or medical examination, the employer has a responsibility to keep that information confidential. In fact, the employer is required to keep that disability-related information in a file separate from the person's personnel file and treat it as a confidential medical record. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has more information on all of these issues. To get more information, go to eeoc.gov, or you can contact Equip for Equality at 800-537-2632, or go to equipforequality.org. Thank you.